And we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of the Bullpen Cart. I, of course, am the G-Man. Returning to glory is my man, Matty D. What's up, buddy?
Well, I was told it wouldn't snow anymore, but then it did snow this afternoon. Other than that, though, I am doing.
The suburbs did?
Yeah, a little. There was a little bit of snow shower. This very minimal, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I still saw the snow. It was not pleased.
That's not good.
Very unpleased. Very unpleased.
Yeah, our taxes are due, and there's snow coming down. That's not a good mix.
Exactly. Tax season is over, though, so I would definitely take that.
You get your little champagne toast.
I was out doing something else. I wasn't able to make it, but I was pretty okay with that. So pretty happy with that. I was fine with not being there. Trust me.
That's okay. That's all right. The ooh, if you hear me cheering, I have the Winnipeg Minnesota game on. There are about 5 minutes left in the first, but we'll get to a little NHL at the very tail end of this. But we do have our normal business that we got to cover. Week 3 of Major League Baseball in the books. Matt, we haven't talked to you in the last couple weeks, so we've had a little turnaround. But what's been your thoughts since we last spoke?
Well, I think we're seeing some settling down, of some of the best players. You kind of overreact early in the season, but I still think the standings look nothing like they're going to look, but there are definitely some teams that we'll talk about that have started to show their true colors. Most of the teams we expected to at least be good, have been good. I guess the best way I can put it. There's a few teams that need to work the kinks out, and I don't want to take any thunder. But I think overall, when you look at the top of divisions, for the most part, you are seeing teams that you expected to be there. I said for the most part because there's a couple divisions that have some shockers. But been pretty impressed. Some good stuff. I think they've stayed relevant. Major League Baseball has with a lot of playoffs going on. And you know what? I hate to say it, but some of the fights, in particular, the renewed grudge between the Red Sox and the Yankees definitely played a factor in kind of keeping people paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good
exciting.
point. That's a really good point because Greg's mentioned it a number of times here, and he would want me to make sure that I pointed out that he said it because he and I have been talking about it all week. Baseball's just so much better when the Yankees and the Red Sox are both good and they both hate each other. And it's nice that really none of these guys, except for maybe Brett Gardner, were around when both teams were last really good. Brett Gardner, I think, was just coming up. I'm not even sure if he was really up there. But it's nice, to have this kind of rivalry renewed. And obviously, you have the other ones. You have Nolan Arenado, just doing some acrobatics with dodging gloves and shit. But I want to touch on a point that you made of baseball staying relevant because there were reports of kind of tying it all together with the snow and everything, of all the attendance being down. All the reports I read, though, just reported cities where there was cold weather. And Emily and I talked about this a little bit last week, but I want to get your thoughts on it because I think baseball's done a pretty good job of it. And obviously, if there's snow around, there's games getting delayed left and right. There's crazy shit going around in Toronto yesterday. That's got to be the reason, right? It's not baseball has a long-term problem. I think that's a little bit of a hot take.
No, it's just kind of a fluke right now, Yeah. But that being said,
a cold take.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I will say though, Anthony Rizzo came out and said I'd take a pay cut to play fewer games. We're playing too much baseball.
I think that's across the board, except for maybe in football. All the other 3 major sports, I think, across the board would agree with that.
Right.
It's the owners that don't want to reduce it.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it, but the problem is you're playing in the cold, and that's difficult, in particular for guys who maybe didn't get full spring training. They're not as loose as they should be. Or the thing is, you do spring training down south. You come up to Chicago, or you come up to New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Seattle, not really, but to an extent, and it's cold. It's freezing cold. So.
No, I agree with that.
That can be tough. Because you don't want guys getting injured because of that.
Exactly.
I think that's my big concern is, we don't want anybody getting dinged up.
Well, there's all the injuries left and right, but you brought up a really good point. Starting in the South, intern Jerry and I talked about this when we went to Philly's opening day. I think they do need to start, keep it in Miami, keep it in fucking Atlanta, Texas, both Houston and the Rangers, LA, all these warm weather teams, domes. So Minnesota Minnesota's outdoors now. The dome teams though, keep it there. And then once the weather starts to turn, obviously April's such a fucking crapshoot, no matter which way you look at it, of where the weather's going to be, that you can't predict it. But to kind of just load the deck a little bit, because the Phillies are playing their second road series in Atlanta right now. So why not have them go Atlanta, Miami, then throw in something else? Or I don't want to do what college baseball does, a play at your spring training facilities and count those as home games. But there has to be some way they can fix this.
Yeah, I don't know. I like your idea. Maybe start the season doing a few more showcase games, like in different countries. I know there's a big, I know Puerto Rico's doing something. Now that's obviously special this year, as it should be.
Yeah.
They missed it last year. Say again?
They missed it. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago because it was Zika.
Right.
Yeah. No, they could even do. That's actually a really good idea. Like, because the NHL did this for a while, where they actually played extra games, more than 82, where they had like bonus games that were neutral site, that were like in cities that they were thinking about expanding to, and I think a couple of them worked out. But like, they could even try that kind of stuff. Obviously, you don't want to. This all comes back to the owners not want to sacrificing revenue, but I guess with shared revenue, it might work. I don't know. I need to know a little more about the baseball business.
Yeah. No, I get that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the hot teams. Let's,
go ahead.
Get off this cold shit. I'm looking forward to the weekend because it's going to finally be warm here in Philadelphia, or semi-warm, like it was last weekend. But hot teams, we'll start. You want to start in the AL?
Sure.
All right. We'll start in the AL. My hot team, I'm going to go with the chalk, Matt. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
Had a great week. One of the better, because I think I know who yours is, but one of the better weeks in baseball, especially in the American League. 13-2 to start the season, have won 9 of their last 10. And a lot of this has been without Mookie Betts, has been without Xander Bogaerts. And they continuously are putting up the numbers. They have 89 runs scored, a run differential of 42. So that's 47 runs allowed. That is one of the best in the American League, behind only Minnesota, a surprising start with a pretty good pitching staff, in Cleveland, and that's what you expect out of the Cleveland Indians with the pitching staff they got. So, I mean, that offense, we've been touting it, and it was kind of they put up or shut up to start the season, and they're certainly putting up to come out of the gates.
Right. Well, I would say this about them, and obviously they've been fantastic, but it hasn't necessarily been power offense. I mean, Hanley Ramirez leads the team with only 3 home runs. A couple of their guys have 2. JD Martinez also has 3. So I wouldn't say it's been a power surge comparatively. It's just been really good hitters. Betts, Bogaerts, Ramirez batting over 300. A lot of other guys hanging in that high 200 area. And Jackie Bradley Jr. really hasn't gotten going. So I think overall it's pretty impressive. They're doing it unlike their arch rivals down south. They are doing it more so with just getting on base and hitting. But I also think I'd add to that the pitching staff has been pretty darn good to start as well, obviously led by Chris Sale, who's fantastic, and a resurgent David Price to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent of he started the year well. Last year he had a good end, but the start was abysmal.
Don't forget Craig Kimball's there. He's a hell of a player. A closer. So probably
and Rick Porcello jumping back to what you wanted to hopefully see after the Cy Young from a few years ago. So I mean, Greg's got to be pretty happy.
I would be pretty happy. They took over a lot of power rankings, #1 team in baseball. So they've definitely come out hot. But I think you could probably guess my hot team, and the team that I had been pretty hot. I mean,
and it's the team they're playing this week.
I know it's going to be the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
There you go.
They've won 7 in a row. They are 9-1. They're in that 10-game span. 13-3 overall. They have a run differential of +48, which I believe, if I'm correct, is tops in baseball. So
yes.
Okay. So they are dominating.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Mike Trout's doing Mike Trout thing. 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, on base percentage over 377. His average is maybe a little down to 266, but it's early in the year. He has been dynamite as expected. And we're gonna get to the guy who clearly is just, I don't even know he's going rampant. He's rampaging right now. But they've got a lot of other players that we talked about offensively. Upton, Pujols, Cozart, Calhoun. So they've had some guys step up. Well, Calhoun hasn't really started strong, but they've had some guys step up, and they look like the real deal, I would argue, early on.
Yes, I would think so too. I mean, just kind of building off your point on Mike Trout. I mean, he might strike out a little more than you have seen normally from him. He struck out 14 times in 16 games. But he's stealing bases. He's getting on by walks. He's walked 11 times. His on-base percentage is almost 400, which is absurd, considering that he's batting 266. Slugging percentage is almost 600. He's hit those 6 home runs. I mean, the most impressive has been through the triple, or through the snow. Excuse me. I was looking at the 3B on the Yahoo here. The one that I think you were getting at is Ohtani. And the season he's been putting together so far. I mean, what are we seeing here, Matt? We talked about him a little bit last week. He was our rookie of the week, both the pitcher and the batter. But Matt, let's get your thoughts on this guy.
I mean, I tell you, I actually, we talked about him, and he obviously had a good week. I didn't think he'd actually continue to have the success. Now it's early in the season, and he's going to have a big test because the game got postponed against the Royals, so he's going to pitch now against the Red Sox.
Yep. So
you go from a dismal lineup to a elite lineup.
Yep.
We'll see what happens there. That's a big moment for him. But I mean, I think overall, I don't think he needs to. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's got all the power in the world. I watched him hit his first. Actually, watched live his first career home run, and that thing was a absolute blast.
Bullet.
I know. The only key is don't overuse him.
Yeah.
So be careful. Don't overuse him. I think very concerned. I mean, I have concerns just because he hasn't necessarily played the full amount. But I mean, he's been incredible. He's been amazing to watch. He's like must-see TV when he's on.
Tip of the cap to him.
Yes,
as you might say. No, but that's a great choice for your hot team. I mean, Garrett Richards has been coming out, being that guy that they've wanted from him for so long. He's 2-0. He's got a number of strikeouts, 24 of them on the season, over 20 innings. So, I mean, the Angels, I think you're right. I like them a lot, and I think they could really make some serious damage through a kind of a down start on the down, relatively speaking, on the AL West, mainly just because Houston's been, I don't want to steal anybody's thunder here, but Houston's been so cold recently, so it's been kind of a wonky start for the division.
Yeah, I would agree. But well, Houston, they're 10-7, but their run differential is 17.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at.
Right. I mean, it's not like they've been miserable. This is early. It's early in the season. They're going to bounce around a little bit. I think they're still pretty locked in the division. Mariners, we talked about them, kind of boom or bust year in our preview for them, and they're booming at the moment. It's early. Their run differential only +1, which definitely is a concern.
Yeah.
But like I said, definitely way too early in the season to make any judgments.
Yeah, nothing's set in stone yet. I mean,
right.
The Oakland A's are -4 on their run differential and have scored more runs than both the Astros and the Mariners, but have let up 35 more runs than Houston. That's what I was kind of getting at this wonkiness. It's very weird how it's all been coming out.
Yeah, and that's normally what happens. Teams get lucky. A couple relievers get blown up here or there early. They start to kind of pull their lineups out. But now there are some teams that we thought would be bad and are continuing to be terrible. So I'll jump right over. Who is your cold team in the AL?
Yeah, so it's not really that hard to pick one. There's some teams that are at the bottom of the basement. The one I'm going to pick is the Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Mainly just for the fact that they, have had an interesting start to the season. They have been one of those teams affected by the cold, like we talked about. They're 4-9, run differential of -22, only scored 49 runs, and we talked about how they have a little bit of pop on their step, but their pitching staff really is what we thought it was going to be. It's nearly last in earned run average of nearly 5, and their WHIP is 1.52, which means they let on average a base runner and a half on an inning. There isn't really a ton that you can really hold your hat on high, except for the fact that Jose Abreu does have that power that you thought he was going to see. Matt Davidson's come on strong, 5 homers, 10 ribbies. But really outside of that, I mean, Tim Anderson, 3 homers and batting .250, and that's third best on your team. Jose Abreu's average not really that high. Maybe Reynaldo Lopez with 21 strikeouts, but I'm really starting to stretch here.
No, of course they've had an awful start. Very unimpressed. We both kind of thought, hey, maybe they'd have a little bit, to come on here. Yeah. Not really. And I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to stay in the same division, and I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals. They're kind of easy. 3-11, worst record in the AL. Worst record. Well, tied for least wins across the league. They've been awful. -28 run differential. Lost 6 in a row. We kind of just thought this could happen. They just don't have a lot going on for them. Moustakas actually isn't having a bad start. Yeah, Mike Moustakas actually isn't having a bad start to the year. Leads them in pretty much every offensive category: batting average, home runs, RBIs, on base percentage. Lucas Duda's having an okay start. Other than those two, I mean, it's dismal. Really, really poor altogether. The pitching has not been good. Danny Duffy, who I was pretty high on, struggling early. It's not a strong start for them whatsoever.
No.
And they kind of look like they're going to do what we thought they were going to do, and that's kind of nothing.
Yeah. Not really much more you could say there. I mean, like even Jorge Soler, guy they were really excited about getting. He's stunk to start the year. He's batting .216, 12 strikeouts, no homers, 1 RBI. So not really a ton there. Right. Even a lot of their guys that are more the supporting cast, just not good starts to the year. That's a great pick, Matty D.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're in that division, if you are Twins of the Indians, you kind of expected this. It looks like it's going to be a 2-team race pretty early there because the Tigers aren't particularly strong either.
No. Yeah, the Tigers, that's a good one to call as well. Tampa, we should mention them. The Phillies just came off a nice little sweep of them. They aren't looking so hot either. Their 4-man rotation, interesting, but not terribly effective.
Right. It's just there's some bad teams, and the Orioles run differential is -35. I don't want to. Let's stop harping on. Yeah, I don't want to harp on the bottom feeders here. So
let's go to the NL.
Yes.
All right. My hot team. You know what? I'm not going to pick them. I picked them last week. That was the Mets. I'm going to go and pick the Diamondbacks, talk about them a little bit, mainly because I'm excited. I'm going to see them next week. They're coming here to Philadelphia. But they're a team that are, they've really come off strong this year, man. And I think, they're looking like the team that you really were high on in terms of where they were going to go. And, I think they're ninth in runs. Their pitching staff looks fantastic. I think that they, this hot start in first place in the NL West, not really that far out of the ordinary.
Yeah, look, this team was pretty good last year, and they've got a strong start, and the rest of that division clearly stumbling. We expect the Dodgers to bounce back, but I mean, they look early on. I've been very impressed. Obviously, Kershaw came in and whipped them, but other than that, I've been very impressed. With what this team's brought to the table early. I think they definitely have a shot to continue that. Because they were a wild card team last year. I'm right. I'm just having a moment.
They lost to the Dodgers. Yeah.
Right. They were wild card. This team's got, a lot of talent on it. And I'm with you there. I think they're a great start. Great start for them. I mean, how is my boy pitched early on here? Greinke. He's been okay. Not really that good.
Zach Attack. Yeah, he's 1-1. 5.2 ERA. I mean, started he's 2-0 and he's a 5.7 in 3 starts. So I mean,
now watch out for Patrick Corbin.
Ooh, that's actually a really good call.
Yeah, he's a free agent this year, I believe. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, I need to check. I think he is though.
He is. Yep, he's a full-time, upcoming free agent, straight up, not even restricted, not a buyout candidate. He's a hell of a player. He's only 29, so he'll be younger than most pitchers. He does have a Tommy John in his history, but I tell you, I think he's going to be somebody who's going to pitch well. I think in terms of fit, anybody, literally anybody. But yeah, I'd be very, very interested to see how he does.
No, that's actually a really good pick.
Yeah.
Taijuan Walker, worth mentioning, he has hit the DL. He'd started pretty well. I mean, he hadn't earned a win yet, but 3.46 ERA had looked pretty good. So I mean, exciting to see there, or a bummer to see there, but exciting to see for the Diamondbacks is what I was meaning to say. Matt, who do you got for your hot team?
I'm gonna go, and look, I want to do it. I'm excited to snag him here. I'm gonna go with our boys. I'm gonna go with the Phils.
Oh,
8-2 in their last 10 games, plus 20 run differential, which is up at the higher levels here. Now I'm picking them because I want to make sure I have the opportunity to do so at some point. Let's set the stage here. To be honest, they went on a little streak by beating the Marlins, the Reds, and the Rays, who aren't particularly great teams. So I don't want. I'm very impressed with their streak, especially after the way the season started. They're now playing the Braves, lost the first game, playing them right now live. I think it's 1-1, right?
Yeah, it's 1-1 right now. Odubel Herrera having himself a little series. He's had both RBIs for the Phillies. They lost 2-1 last night. He had a homer to start the game.
Yeah, but Pivetta, who's had a pretty good start to the year.
Pivetta's look great.
Yeah. 2.61 ERA. So they're going to start playing better teams. We knew that, but I just want to give them a shout out early on. I've been very impressed with their start. I thought young guys have played okay. Not a lot of power yet. That's fine. I'll tell you, Franco's taking his basic demotion out of the starting role pretty damn well. 15 RBIs, pretty decent start to the season for him as he tries to claw his way back in as the premier power hitter in this lineup, if he can do it. So I will tell you, it's nice to see that they're constantly rolling guys through the lineup. We've got Herrera, Nick Williams, Hoskins, and Altair playing in the outfield. Altair, excuse me, and I like that. I like constantly switching it up. I will tell you, our catchers are garbage.
Yeah, but they could be better. But they both are very good defensive catchers.
Right. But I could use a little bit more there at the plate. But I've been pretty impressed with our starters too. We talked about Pivetta, Nola, Velasquez. Okay, still have my concerns there. Arrieta didn't come out great, but he'll even out. I mean, he's 1-1.
Yeah, he's only pitched 2 games in the regular season. He pitched like 1 actual spring training game.
Right. So I'm not too concerned there.
The one note I'll make on the catchers. One thing that I thought of, I used to, really before the Phillies 11 years ago came back and made the playoffs against the Mets, I used to hate, and I emphasize the word hate, and I love him now. He'll forever hold a special place in my heart. But I used to hate Carlos Ruiz.
Really?
I thought he was a terrible hitter. Thought he was a good catcher, but a terrible hitter. It really up until they made the playoffs and became Senor Octobre. That I didn't really like him. And I think whoever, I didn't think it's Alfaro because I think he's just better than Andrew Knapp. But once one of them, earns the starting spot, because Alfaro's got a fucking cannon and he can hit pretty well. He can hit the ball. He can hit the ball out of the shit out of the ball, I should say. He just strikes out a ton. He doesn't really get on base a ton. That's his big concern. Knapp's kind of the other way, better contact hitter. Still pretty good catcher in terms of it. But both are batting either at or below the Mendoza line. So you got to kind of figure out something there.
Right.
I don't know if it's kind of making Carlos Santana relearn how to play catcher because he did that every once in a while way back in the day, or someone else. If you want to make Reese do it, he seems like he can play wherever the hell or even Scott Kingery. Scott Kingery really can play wherever the hell you tell him to. But I think they'll figure it out. I thought some of the interesting, and for those that are longtime listeners, we apologize that we jumped to the Phillies a little earlier than usual.
My fault. I just got excited.
No, it's not your fault at all. I figured we just might as well cover it now and get through it. I thought it was interesting how they did the DHing down there, and they talked about it a little bit on the broadcast on, I think it was Saturday's game, of how a lot of people were wondering why they didn't play Reese as the DH and put the better defensive outfielders out there. They figure they want to get Reese as many reps as possible, and it was a good point there. It seems very obvious, but instead of just trying to put your best lineup forward, it's a mid-April game. You want to try to continuously be getting better and better, especially against a team like Tampa Bay, like you said. And kind of to that point, they might be, for all intents and purposes, garbage teams, but those are the teams, if you want to be making a push at the playoffs, you want to be bold, then beat those teams. Beat them down big, which is what they did throughout this weekend.
That's a great point. I mean, yep, you got to beat who's put in front of you. All you can do is play your schedule. There's no beat them. Just beat them.
Yeah, just beat them.
I like that you brought that up. I think it's a great point. I will say they're going to start to – it'll change. They're going to start to jump into some more, difficult opponents. Pittsburgh has been a good start. Arizona, like you said, you're going. A lot of early season tilts, but then they'll start to play some big time teams. They definitely. I hate it. I don't like Atlanta. They need to beat Atlanta. That'd be nice.
It would be nice. I mean, they're playing them again next weekend. So you're playing them 3 times in the month of. I guess technically the first series was in March, but 3 times was really the first month plus of the season. That's 9 of your 17 games that you're playing.
Right.
So get rid of them while you can right now, because Atlanta's come out to a very hot start on the year. So kind of put them a little more into their place and, hope that they start to cool down, because you want to talk about hot teams, at least in statistics. I mean, Atlanta's looked pretty damn good.
Right. No, they definitely have had a really strong start to this year, which is surprising, but a really, really strong start for what we thought they were going to do.
My boy Ozzy, really good start to the year for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's a division that's a little topsy-turvy. We talked about how some of the teams have come up, but the Nationals are down near the bottom. I mean, they're 8-9. They're at the bottom, and the Mets surprising everybody at 12-3. I did not mean to take you picked them last week. So we've talked about the hot teams. I mentioned the Nationals, but do you have a cold team of the week in the National League?
Yeah, I mean, mine's going to be pretty easy. It's Cincinnati. I mean, they're 3-13, but I mean, they through 1 week had started off decently and then really went on a real bottoming out, like you thought they would. They came into Philly last week, got swept. Their pitching is god awful. I mean, this is one of the worst pitching staffs I think I've ever seen. To the point that, on DraftKings, you like to look at who's playing in Colorado and hammer that. I mean, it's at this point that you might also want to just start hammering whoever the hell is playing the Reds, because their pitching is so bad. Their offense isn't getting anything done either. They can't get on base. They can't score runs. I mean, there's a few teams that they've outscored, and I think it's just because of some of the teams that they've played. I mean, they've outscored Miami. That's not very hard to do. They've outscored San Francisco, a little surprising. But Cincinnati, for all intents and purposes, I mean, they really can't convert anything, and no one on their team is really going above and beyond to put the team on their back like we thought they might be able to and start off hot. I mean, it looked like they might have been able to, but really they've come off pretty meh, except for, I guess, Scooter Gennett.
Yeah, I mean, we thought they wouldn't be particularly good. I think it's time to take a look at moving, if you think you can, Joey Votto.
Oh yeah,
seems to make sense. Something that I think they should take a look into doing, because they're definitely. It doesn't appear like they're even close to, close to being good at all, and contending in the next 3 to 4 years. So I think if you can get something great for Votto, do it. Come on, I know he's a lifelong Red, but we watched what the Phillies did, so move on, find something good.
Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that last year they tried to wait out for this, fleece some team or get the biggest return for them. I think at this point, really get what you can here. I mean, you can try to do what the Phillies did with a guy like Cole Hamels, where there's a huge need for it. There might be other players that pop up, that a guy like a Justin Bohr that pops up for a really bad team that might be able to entice a little more interest. So at this point, if you can figure out something, by all means, just get him out of there, give him some type of hope, and just keep on for him.
Right. Yep. No, I'm with you. I couldn't agree more there. Yeah. My cold team is going to be a little different. I decided to go with not necessarily that they're cold, but I think they're not nearly the expectation that we expected, and that is going to be the Chicago Cubs.
Ooh, that's why I like how you always go out of the box. I always appreciate
Well,
that.
I wanted to grab somebody that I think is really underachieving. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so it's not terrible. They do have a positive run differential, but they're 7-7, and I just haven't been impressed with their start. We're hearing more about players such as Anthony Rizzo talk about how I think this season should be sorted out. Let me be quite clear. Chris Bryant's a superstar, 345 batting average, but other than that, we haven't seen you guys necessarily be as strong as you'd expect. Kyle Schwarber not playing particularly well. Ian Happ not well. Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, Anthony Rizzo. These guys are not playing to the extent that we expected, and they've struggled early. And beyond that, so has their pitching staff really too. I mean, Yu Darvish is a ERA of 6. Jose Quintana ERA of 8.16. Not been impressed with their start.
No,
very middling to me. That's got to be a concern.
No, I would
because
agree.
I mean, this is a team that should be competing, but they're definitely on the. In terms of baseball, they're not up and coming anymore. They're kind of at the top, and they're probably teetering more towards down than they are up. Not that they don't have good players for the next 5 to 10 years, but the core, some of the older guys are going to start to move away.
No, I agree with that. I mean, not that you want to say one way or the other with Arrieta for Darvish, because it's definitely, I mean, too soon to tell. I mean, Rizzo was hurt; he just got activated off the DL. So there's a number of things left and right. I mean, statistics say because they have a positive run differential that they should be better than 500. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's crazy though that the fact that their batting average is led very top heavily. You mentioned Bryant, Zobrist, Tommy La Stella, all above 300. Wilson Contreras, as you called him, doing very well at 288. But then you have guys, really the rest of their lineup. Kyle Schwarber's at 238, excuse me. Ian Happ, Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, and Javi Baez, all below there and floating around the Mendoza line. Got to kind of figure something out. Javi Baez, crazily enough, he's going near Joey Gallo style. He is below the Mendoza line right now, but 4 homers, that is best on the team. 14 ribbies, 13 Ks, not the worst. That's Ian Happ, which shocks me.
Right.
But I mean, we saw this last year with the Cubs where they didn't have a very good first half of the year. They were down, I think, 6 games to Milwaukee at the All-Star break and still won the division by, I think, 6 games, something like that. Using symmetry to try to make my narrative go. But yeah, I think they'll start to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think they will too. Just let's go whenever you're ready. Start it up. I just think that that's like not something you don't want to necessarily. It could be a concern.
No, for sure.
So they're my cold team of the week, just because I think they should be playing better. I'm always going to want the Cubs to be a good team. So maybe it's just because they hadn't won for so long.
Yeah, but, no. I mean, I have the impartialness too as well with the family out there. So I think even if the Cubs won like, I don't know, the next 5 World Series, I think they'd always be the lovable losers in every millennial's heart, because we grew up with Steve Bartman. I'll put it that way.
Yes, that's true.
Really quick, before we move on to the players of the week, been a wild second period. I've switched it over to the Washington-Columbus game. Washington was up 2-0. Goal got overturned. Columbus tied it up. Washington just retook the lead. So it's 2-1 Capitals. We'll talk about them a little more, but I wanted to point that out as it was happening live. But let's move on to top players. For those new to the program, we like to go through pitchers, batters. We haven't really done too many rookies last year. We kind of did it as a gimmick with Ohtani. So maybe we'll try to jump into that this week. But we like to name them after movies and the stars of them. So for the batter, we call it the Roy Hobbs MVP of the week. For me, I'll start. I mentioned him a little bit with Atlanta. His last 12 days, or his last 7 days, have resulted in 12 hits. That is Ozzy Albies from the Atlanta Braves. He's batting .522, 2 homers, 5 ribbies. He is their second baseman. He has been their prospect, their prized possession. who is, doing everything that you want him to do. And I think that, he is legit, and I think is a good anchor for this Atlanta team as they've come off to a hot start. I think even if this isn't their year to really shock people, I think they're poised for some long-term success with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great pick. I mean, he definitely has had a really good start to the year for them, and they need that.
Yeah.
We've talked about them trying to rebuild. Yeah, I mean, he's got just a great name and great personality. I'm a big fan of his. I hate that he's on the Braves, but he's a good player.
I really want, and as much as I miss, and I'm glad that like the Mets are great again, and that the Phillies are starting to come back up. I want a Braves, Phillies, Mets three-way rivalry, because you had that for a glimpse in the mid-2000s.
Right.
And it hasn't really been there because Atlanta was so good for so long and then kind of fell apart once the Mets started becoming good. And, I mean, it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see all three of them there. I mean, get these Nationals out of here. Bryce, go to Wrigley to make your dog happy, or to the Yankees to earn your pinstripes, whatever the hell you want to do. And let's get this three-way going. And three-way rivalry, excuse me.
I gotta say, I don't think you can count Phillies out of the Bryce Harper market. I am not a Bryce guy, but this is going to come right into. He is my hitter of the week. He's batting .309 with 8 home runs, 18 RBIs, almost just under 50% on base percentage.
And one broken back home run.
Oh my God!
You see that thing?
Yeah. Once again, now this is the same kind of start he got off to in 2016, so he needs to make sure he doesn't get hurt or anything like that. But the Yankees aren't going to be involved. The Red Sox aren't going to be involved. The Dodgers probably won't be involved because of Kershaw's pending free agency. So where's he going to go? Could go back to the Nationals. You are right with the Cubs. I will tell you the Giants are going to be interesting there because Hunter Pence and Andrew McCutchen are free agents. But the Phillies are going to be a player because they're going to be one of the few big market teams with a lot of money to spend left over. Now, I don't think he's worth $400 million. The only player in baseball I think that is, well, between Machado and Trout would be the two guys that I would consider that expensive. We'll see how Machado does. I think he's also a potential Philly. I'd rather have him over.
Yeah, I would too. Easily.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Machado, Kershaw, Josh Donaldson is a fit for the Phils. We talk about Corbin. There's a lot. So there's a lot of guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to think outside the box because I think it's an interesting, even though it's way too early to do this, I think it's because this free agency class is going to be so good. But Harper is my batter of the week.
I like that. I wanted to mention too, just because he did so well with Tampa Bay and was kind of an under the radar pickup in free agency. Yeah. That's Corey Dickerson, batted .417 last week. Not a big power guy. Didn't have any homers, but he did have 5 RBI. So a nice little week for him there. So I wanted to mention that before we moved on to pitchers.
Yeah, that's another really good guy to bring up. He's been kind of shocking. I guess you could say that.
No, for sure. No, very good hitter. Yeah. Never really been a big power guy. Like I said, kind of under the radar for the Pirates, but good upstart for them.
Yeah, I want to roll right into the pitcher, and here's why. Because he's on the same team. And that's Max Scherzer for my pitcher. He is as good as – he is like Doc Holliday. I mean, he's like Roy. He's so locked in. He's got a 1.33 ERA, 3-1, 38 strikeouts, going deep into games. I know that Kershaw is considered the best pitcher in baseball, and there's guys like Chris Sale out there, but to me, he's got to be up there with the best of the best. I mean, we'd already know he's the best of the best. Don't get me wrong. I just have been so impressed with him and how dominant he is. He's just really good at pitching.
No, very good.
So, wow. Scary that they have him as well as Steven Strasburg, who has kind of had a quiet start to the year. But I don't want to take any thunder. He's my pitcher of the week, arguably the best in baseball.
No, it's a great pick. I'm going to take mine from the team I almost picked as my back-to-back hot team of the week. That's a guy that you would have expected to have the start that he's having. That's Jacob deGrom. He runs wise did not do very well, but DeGrom and Syndergaard are really laying the hammer down. No pun intended there. DeGrom, though, over the last week, 18 Ks over 13 innings. Like I said, the ERA not so impressive at 4.73. That is good enough for 2-0, though, with how well the Mets have been hitting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's really been those two guys. And wow, how good would this team? Geez, how good would this team be? The Mets. How good 1, 2, 3 if Matt Harvey was anything like what people thought he was going to turn out to be.
Or if they still had Bartolo.
That's true. They would be dangerous.
Sexy. Taking the perfect game through.
Yeah, it would be this.
Greg was texting me on Sunday night about this and how ESPN and then DraftKings has their DraftKings Live app, which is basically their like live updates app. Mm-hmm. That was going off. Yahoo was going off. ESPN was going off. I think we're too no-hitter happy now. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
we're too quick to call it. Granted, he took it into the 8th inning, so that's a thing there. But it was like in the 6th inning, and they're like, "Oh, perfect game alert." Let's cool our jets here. Let's say he's gotten through 24 outs without a hit or without a base runner. Let's get to that level again.
Yeah, I just think the problem is they're just trying to get something. They're just trying to get something on board, something trying to drum up, get people to turn the channel right now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but bummer. But that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a purist. Another one I did want to mention because I kind of talked shit on their pitching staff. Homer Bailey, well, 0-1, still very good week for him. The guy.
I like how you came back there just to say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I mean, it totally trashed him." I like that. I appreciate it. He appreciates it.
I mean, Luis Castillo, decent week too, but both of them have let up a lot of runs. But they've ate up some innings for that terrible pitching staff. So Cincinnati, I'm sorry that your guys have let up a lot of runs, but good job for them of being, taking one for the team.
I agree. That I appreciate you. Yeah, we got to help everybody.
You got to have. Yeah, you got to. We can't alienate ourselves from all markets, man.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Well, let's jump over to one of my favorite parts because how often do we really, truly kind of people, how often people look at this area of the game? And that's, I think you know where I'm going. Minor league.
Yes.
Lay it out for me.
So last week we did the Eastern League, mainly because we wanted to talk about Tim Tebow. We stay within the Mets, Phillies, Yankees, Red Sox, farm systems, but go up to AAA, the International League, one of 2 AAA leagues, it and the Pacific Coast League. We'll get to them another pod. But the International League currently still not international. Formerly, it was founded with a number of teams in Canada, but they have all since moved south of the border to the United States. The most recent one, of course, being our Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, who came from Ottawa. But a number of different teams in there. Like I mentioned, got the Phillies with the Iron Pigs, the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders for the Yankees, the Pawtucket Red Sox, who recently, I think last year, changed their logo to being a polar bear instead of just being, the P in the Red Sox style. You've got the Louisville Bats, who are both a play on words of the, bats that they manufacture and the actual animal. They are the Cincinnati Reds farm team there, not being too far away from Cincinnati. But always a ton of fun. This is where you get to see a lot of rehab starts. You get to see a lot of guys that are right on the cusp or might just be going down there for a couple games. The Phillies have seen a lot of action between their AAA affiliate and Philadelphia in terms of movement, especially considering how close the Allentown and Philadelphia are from one another. And I think a lot of teams are moving that way as well. You got Buffalo for Toronto. You got Pawtucket for Boston. The only ones that really are kind of out there are places like Rochester for Minnesota, Durham, North Carolina for Tampa Bay. But then you got and Charlotte for the Chicago White Sox, which crazy fact, Matt, the Charlotte area, including the Kannapolis Intimidators, shout out to Brian Radel, Emily's cousin, third and girl's cousin, for those that know her by her blogger name. They have the White Sox, though, have 3 different minor league teams in the Charlotte area. Kind of crazy there.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the Charlotte Knights. They have the Intimidators. I forget who the third is, but it's nuts. You never think. But it's the trend in this league has been more and more moving closer and closer to home. Gwinnett being the Braves farm team. A lot of them too have changed their names to be a little more, cartoony. The Gwinnett Braves changed their name to the Gwinnett Stripers, that sort of thing. The Rail Riders from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees. So that kind of stuff too. But it's been, it's definitely something where, you're seeing it more like a minor league team that you might see in the AHL for hockey, what the NBA G League is starting to try to become. So it's becoming that way.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that's hey. By the way, this is kind of off topic. We need to really go down and visit Charlotte. You know that, right?
Oh, we absolutely do. The number of people we have to visit down there.
It's really bad. It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, really bad.
We'll talk about this later. I don't want to get this too tied up here.
We could do a lot of minor. We could have a nice little bullpen cart, fun V tailgate on the road. Play a little golf, little minor leagues, both NHL or AHL, AAA. Ooh, it's close to a nice little goal there. But yeah, no, Charlotte trip. Pin that one on for road trip ideas. Live pods on the road.
I'd be fine with that. Little golf
Speaking
down
of
there.
Quick shout out. Hopefully Greg and I are going to be doing a live pod in Boston next week when I'm up there. That is to be determined. Greg and I have to hammer out some details.
Hell yeah.
Up there for a couple days. So that's going to be a good time.
Dude, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah. But I think Matt, excuse me. I think it is time to move over to the fan favorite sections. For those new to the program, we like to take a look at the more fun side of the game. Matt, before I get into the stadium snacks, which is the one of them, I would like to talk to you a little bit because you haven't gotten the chance to check out some of the changes at the bank, have you?
I have not. No.
Yeah. So have you seen any of the pictures?
I'm not sure what we're referring to. Oh, we're talking about the what's it called? Oh, the field. They built the little field. Oh god, what's it called?
The yard.
The yard. Yes,
yeah.
I did that. Yes.
I talked about this a little bit last week, but I wanted to talk to you about it. They put in a wiffle ball park, which has been pretty cool to see. I think the fact that they're starting to go a little more hip this way, but and adding it. I mean, it's been a lot of little kids doing, that have been playing there, so it's more built for them, and us as adults, unfortunately, have aged ourselves out of this revolution of bringing kind of backyard baseball to the big league park. But you also see stuff like the Fanatic hot dog cart as like a target practice game, almost like one of those carnival games where you're shooting the water and trying to fill up the balloon. So it's a lot of cool stuff that they've added. They moved, obviously, Bull's Barbecue because that's where that used to be. Right. But it's definitely been something I'm excited to kind of see if once the excitement dies down a little bit, if I can hop on. But I onto the fan favorite section, starting with the stadium snacks, Greg or Matt. Jesus, I keep screwing up your name. I apologize. Yeah.
I'll live. I'll live. I'm not going anywhere. I'll live.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you'll always be there. You're Mr. Reliable.
I'll cry myself to sleep, but yeah, I'll live.
So I want to start with something out of Texas, and this is something that you would only expect from the location of the Texas State Fair, that is Arlington, Texas, where the Texas Rangers play. They have a burger sandwich. I'll let you decide what it is. It's called the Triple B.
Okay.
I want to know. It really should be 4 Bs because that's how they present it here. Bacon, brisket, and bologna topped with barbecue sauce on what looks like to be a hamburger bun or a Hawaiian bun.
I like that. What is that? Okay.
It looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would call that a
it looks like it's 2 pieces of bologna too.
2 pieces. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's almost it's a bologna, like it's like that KFC sandwich where the chicken was the bun with so the bologna's that with brisket, then bacon on both sides, a little barbecue sauce. It looks like just drizzled all over this fucking thing. It looks incredible.
I mean, I'm pretty hungry. I don't really care. I don't really know. Matters what you call it, because I'd really like that. I mean, oh man, I'm so hungry right now. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need to go to the ballpark. Gee.
Yeah. We'll get a chance to go soon. I think I'm going to try to go Sunday, depending on how the Flyers go. We'll get to that in a little bit, but depending on how that all goes, I might try to go Sunday to see the Pirates. The only time I might get to see them, going to see the Diamondbacks next week. But yeah, it's finally starting to get warm, or at least it's supposed to tomorrow here in Philly. So bring back ballpark time, bring back, baseball, going down to the ballpark, playing a little golf, just having weekends outside. That's what I miss, and I'm excited for.
Well, I tell you what, I am too. We had a little treat of that this past Saturday, excuse me, 80 degrees. That was wild. Not sure what happened the next day and the day after and now today, but that's what I want. I want to go down in shorts and my Phillies jersey, sunglasses and a ball cap on, have a couple cold beers and a couple hot dogs. Like, that's what I really want the most. Oh, Speaking of a couple cold beers, I can just transfer this right over real quick.
Let's go to the beer corner, baby. That's our other part of the fan favorite section. We have one more that I'll load up.
Oh, I know you're coming to the next one here. I just wanted to get. I think it's a perfect segue here. Really.
Oh yeah, break down some beer for me.
Well, this is a retread to an extent, but it's back. And so if you don't know it's back, go to your beer distributor. It probably is up front at this point. That's a little Victory Summer Love, which is one of my favorite seasonal beers.
Mine too. A little controversial, though.
Well, they changed the logo.
Yeah, it bums me out.
So I love the new. Well, the old logo was classy. I will say the old logo is a really classy look, and I know why you're bummed, but the new logo is almost more funky, and I like it.
It is funky. It is cool. Just a bummer.
It's a little more summery to me now. And I know. It's definitely, the old image had, to me, the old image having the baseball player on the bottom of it, kind of wish that they would keep selling that at, sell that at the ballpark. I know it's too expensive to do both labels. I wish I had known, by the way, they were going to change the label. I wasn't paying enough attention because I would have grabbed a couple old ones and kept them. So I got to look through the archives, see if I have anything, I have an old bottle anywhere. Definitely have some coasters, I believe, of Summer Love, the old label. We'll see if they go back. Maybe the new label's more colorful, but I guess I see the controversy because I guess I kind of forgot about the old label, right? And then you think about it, and you're like, well, that looked really cool, though. I don't. Did they ever come out with why they changed the label?
No, I never really did too much digging into why, because I was pretty bummed about it. But it is a cool enough logo that I can't be too upset. But the baseball player was pretty classic. I don't know. I mean, is it something where I guess Victory's just not big enough to not have 2 different logos like other?
That's what I would assume. Just because I think it's it's really expensive to double do it. I just think that's a lot. Yeah. So I understand why they changed it. Why they aren't doing both, I should say. Excuse me. But maybe they'll go back. A lot of times they do throwbacks from time to time. Well, we know Miller Lite does that all the time. So we can see. Maybe they're just trying to switch the label up just to drive sales, try to get a different demographic buying it. But it's a hell of a beer. It's only like 5%, pretty easy to drink. Just a golden ale. It's pretty simple, tastes great. Got a little citrus to it to an extent, but like in a good way. If you go on their website, its main food pairing is pizza, which I think is hysterical to me. So and you can get it in the big cans, the big boys, which is always nice. Yeah. So that's the beer of the week. Take a look for it. The summer beers are going to start to come out here. So I think everyone's pretty happy with that.
One thing I have noticed from just the amount of time I've spent at stadiums this year, which has been a lot, if you've noticed from our social media, it's been up there. I like that they've been serving more and more craft beer in the big can because it makes you, it's nice to get, because the biggest are still the Budweisers of the world, but it's nice that you can at least get like a 20-ounce can instead of the 25-ounce can of,
Right.
like a all-day IPA or something like that, instead of having to just relegate yourself to either doing it on draft, which that might be your preference, but it's a little tough to handle, especially at like a hockey game or a basketball game. Baseball, it's a little easier to do the draft, but still the can, it's nice to just, grip it, go watch the game, hold your hot dog, and enjoy yourself. You don't have to worry about spilling, really. That's the big thing for me. I spill too much.
No, I love the bigger ones. I think they are they're just better. They're just better all around. I would only buy them if I could. I would only buy those.
No, totally.
Sometimes I like the Founders weird looking one, like the 15 ounces, which is just a strange.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a strange little thing, but overall, I think they're really good. I like the bigger ones. Let's look at the small ones. I'm really into cans right now.
Yeah, the can game is, I think it's making a comeback. I think a lot of people, having draft beer is great. And again, I might be saying this because of how much time I spend at stadiums, but the canned beer game, at least for me, has done so many different wonders. I say this, of course, having been at the Flyers playoff game on Sunday, and some dude pinged my beer to the point that it shot up like a geyser onto the dude in front of me. To which the guy did not believe that some dude ran into me, but that's neither here nor there.
Why would you be wasting your time?
Yeah, why would I be spraying beer like a fucking ketchup bottle?
Right.
Anyway, I'm digressing. No, I agree with you. The canned beer game is great.
Yeah, like I said, definitely consistently growing on me there.
But I want to quickly do a quick bleacher creature.
Gotcha.
This is it's more outside of the stadium.
Okay.
But it's one worth noting. You might have seen it come out today. Back in January, we talk about baseball movies on this podcast a lot. We reference them for our players, and we make references to them here and there. But back in January, that somebody vandalized the actual Field of Dreams, from the movie itself. For those that don't know, there's an actual field in Iowa. You can go see the house, you can go see the field and everything. But a lot of local minor league teams, including the Iowa Cubs, the AAA team that's in the Pacific Coast League, and then a few teams that are in the Midwest League, obviously being in Iowa and Illinois and whatnot. They contributed they contributed money, they contributed their time, they helped to really repair this field, and they helped it, get back to the glory of it. Cause it's an awesome, attraction. A lot of those, a lot of the stuff in that movie, like the people driving up to the field at the end of it, that was, those are real cars. It's not something that was just put in, in post and edited in there. It's a movie that a lot of people hold near and dear to their hearts. And it's something that really, if you love baseball, that this is, I've never been, but it's something that I feel like is a must do. I want to get out there at some point in my life. I've been to Iowa City, which is pretty damn close. And they, it's one of the things that they really hold as one of their pride and joys. So I'm glad that this happened. I wasn't totally aware of the vandalism, and I'm, after seeing this, I'm glad that a number of people volunteered their time to get this all done.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So normally they're a little more funny in that sense. There's sometimes people playing catch with guys in the outfield and stuff like that. For those that are newer to the program, of course. But I had to mention that.
Of course.
Before we jump. No, absolutely.
We'll have a funny one next week. We'll have a funny one next week for you.
Yeah, we'll have a good one next week, I'm sure. The Flyers are playing the Penguins, so there's going to be there's got to be something that's going to come out of that series, because we like to sometimes steal from the playoffs in both hockey and basketball. So there's going to be something, I feel like, from at least that series or somewhere else that we could definitely take from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But do you have any? We mentioned the Red Sox and the Angels this week. Any other series that you're looking out for before we jump over to the playoffs?
Well, I do think that is the
That's the marquee matchup.
That to me, that's like the prime one that at least comes to mind. There was one other one. I wrote it down. Give me a second. Let me find my thing here. Where did I write it? Okay. I've got a lot of stuff. I've got like a page of pod stuff that just meanders through a constant basis.
That's good shit.
Yeah, no, it just keeps consistently rolling through. Well, I mean, I was going to say right now the Mets and the Nationals are playing, which I think is a pretty important series for both those teams. They both try to get back on track.
I'll take right now.
Say again.
Miami's winning 9-0 after getting just dummied by the Yankees last night. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So good for them bouncing back. I mean, Miami, there's not really too much to talk about, but 9-0 against the Yankees.
They're another organization that, I mean, we all knew it when he did his thing, that being Derek Jeter, when I had the captain and just ripped that team apart. So that was pretty interesting when that occurred. But yeah, I got to be honest. I mean, I think we both agree our minds are slightly elsewhere than baseball right now with both Philadelphia teams in the playoffs, which I think can kind of lead us right into that conversation briefly here.
Yes. To wrap things up,
I don't want to get too deep into it, but I do want to touch on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk a little playoffs. Obviously, the NHL playoffs are about a week in. They started last Wednesday. It's Tuesday night as we're recording this, so this is night 7. The NBA playoffs started on Saturday, so not too deep, but we're getting into game 2s and whatnot. We're in game 4s for some series, game 3 right now for Washington Columbus. Mentioned that before. I mean, we can, without really getting too deep into it and spending another hour on everything. I mean, Matt, what have your reactions been so far? What have you liked and what have you disliked?
Well, obviously, I have liked the NHL. It's been incredible, like all the things that are going on. I thought it's been an incredible like bunch of series. I mean, how about this shocking Columbus Blue Jackets, Las Vegas on the brink of dominating, potentially winning that series, which would be record breaking for them. I'm very excited for them. Obviously, the Flyers been a weird series. I think tomorrow night will dictate a lot to see how it goes. It's been all over the map for the Flyers, but still been very, very cool. I still think it's I think it's gonna be a great game tomorrow night, and Flyers win, they're right back in it. So we need somebody to step up, and that somebody is Claude Giroux. The captain has been invisible while Sidney Crosby, and I understand how good Crosby is, but Sidney Crosby, we're doing everything we can, and he's still scoring goals. So really would like to see him step up in this next game. He wasn't even particularly strong in the game we won. I also think you're seeing the youth of our defensive core in particular. So
the defensemen have been they've been up and down to say the least. I mean, obviously they've had some a little bit banged up here and there. We've seen none of Robert Haig. Speaking of, Sean Couturier, still questionable. He got hurt today at practice, running into Radko Gudas. Yeah, they'd at least the lines they'd been running out at practice today, they'd flip-flopped a little bit. They'd actually run Couturier, Giroux, and Voracek as the first line. So kind of getting back to where they started the year. I'm not sure if I totally like that. I don't know why they're not bringing Konechny back up. They did that for a couple games down the stretch, and it didn't really affect him that much because he still was pretty hot, but it's really affected him in the playoffs. And that third line's been kind of no man's land. The Flyers keep getting caught with their fourth line out, the Matt Reed, Laterra, and who's on their line?
Lawton.
Whoever the other guy on their line is.
Lawton. Scott Lawton.
You're right, Scott Lawton. Thank you. They keep getting caught out there. I mean, game 1, it was very apparent. The Nolan Patrick, Oscar Lindblom line, nowhere to be seen. Wayne Simmons very clearly banged up, I think. I think it's been very evident the whole series, but I think game 3 he really looked banged up. But I think the goaltending is something that you really have to take a good hard look at. Brian Elliott, you weren't probably going to be that positive on in general. Mrazek, somebody that you were hoping was going to do well for you and been kind of shaky down the stretch. So I get why they didn't really want to play him that much. But he's only played that, really second half of game 1. I guess I get if Hackstall really likes Elliott to go back to him in game 2 and he earns the start in game 3, but why you don't pull him in game 3 is beyond me.
Yeah, I was shocked that, I mean, we were down there. I just didn't get it. I thought he had just not played well. I mean, I think the team wasn't playing particularly great, but he just hasn't been a stalwart. And really, the key is you can't let up. Like we were down. We even got down 2-0. You're like, okay, we've got a shot. Then they score 3 and 4 right in a row. Goaltenders have to stop the bleeding, you know? And I didn't think he did that.
And Hacksaw didn't really do much either. He didn't call timeout. He didn't do anything. It was just, that's the most shocking to me is this guy, he does so well in terms of bringing these young guys together enough. He just hasn't done in game. He's just there. He doesn't do anything.
Right.
He's very good outside of games, but in game, he's not that impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I would like to see him yell one time, just one time. Yell at somebody.
If you're not a Flyers fan, go look at pictures of Dave Hackstall. Just Google them. They're all going to be the same exact facial expression.
Yeah. So I just one time, I just wanted him to reach down and just yell at Drew for being non-existent or get in Ghost's face for making a mistake. And he didn't do it. He didn't do it. So, but I think both the other team, I don't think the other team we know is in dire straits. But I do think the Sixers were exposed a little bit, not having their best player, Joel Embiid, and they need him back desperately.
Hopefully he'll be in for game 3. He still hasn't been ruled one way or the other. As a quick programming note, Emily Anderson and I are going to do a basketball pod on Thursday night after the Sixers game. I think is when we're going to try to do it. So we're really going to go in depth. We've been meaning to as well. Holy shit. A great give and go goal from the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's 2-2 now. Anthony Panarin once again.
Is that good?
Holy shit. How bad do you feel if you're a Blackhawks fan? Oh man. Anyway, no, we're gonna talk about we've been meaning to do this for a while. It's been kind of a weird week of watching the playoffs here and there. We've been exhausted. As Greg has tried to give me shit, we need to pace ourselves, but I don't think that's the case. But we're also going to go through our preseason pod quickly and how wrong we were. Emily gave me a couple rundown hit talking points.
Gotcha.
Some of the ones that we were really bad on. Like I thought the Pacers were going to be terrible.
Well, I don't think anybody could really have predicted that Oladipo would be as good.
I'm glad you're making me feel better.
I will leave that discussion to you and Emily, but yes, I don't want to ruin your thunder there.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. You're always so considerate, Matty D.
I'm always considerate. Try my best.
Well, let's anywhere else in the NHL playoffs that have been a shock to you?
Well, we talked about Columbus. I think first and foremost, that to me is shocking that they're up. I know that the Capitals have had issues in the playoffs, but never to this extent. I'm blown away by their start. So they're to me they're the biggest shocker. I just didn't see that coming, whatsoever. It's crazy.
Yeah, they find some way to lose here and there. And I texted this to Greg that did we trick ourselves into falling for the exact same thing we fell with the Predators Blackhawks series last year, where a very, very strong defensive core and an awesome goalie against a team normally good, but had a very, very shaky end of the year, comes in as a 1 seed, looks like it might be secretly their year, and this good defensive team with a great goalie comes out and shuts them up and shuts them down.
Yeah,
did we fall for the same thing?
I think we do, and I think the Caps are in trouble. I don't know why they didn't start Holtby. They
did tonight. They did tonight.
They did tonight. I'm just saying, he's got, you got to pick a guy, which may be what Haskell's doing with Elliott. Just pick a guy. Just go with the guy. So we'll see what happens. But that means to me they're the big shockers, to me in that regard.
No, I agree there. I'm kind of shocked that San Jose's up 3-0. I picked them to win.
That's a good one. Yeah.
but I thought that was going to be a little more of a series. I mean, obviously Vegas up 3-0 is a big shock there, but I mean, once LA got a little, Doughty's out in game 2 and they I mean, offensively just haven't looked that strong, and Vegas kind of just really flexing their muscles at home, starting from that weird as fuck opening ceremony thing. Which if you haven't seen, it's basically Game of Thrones. That basically could have been my Bleacher Creature right there. It looks, I mean, it's absurd. They took just every little bit of Vegas, from Cirque du Soleil to just magic shows and all of this different stuff, Caesar's Palace even, and mixed it into a hockey pregame show. Absurdity, complete crazy town, but that's Vegas for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to do it for us, Matt. You got anything else for me?
No, I'm excited to hear the pod of you guys on Thursday, kind of talk it out, give us some information on it. But no, I mean, that's really, I mean, I think we covered a ton, and just looking forward to this big time sports weekend coming up for our city across the board.
Oh yeah. Huge weekend. I mean, hopefully we can get to the point where the Sixers wrap it up. They would I think game 4 is, I think it's Saturday. It's either Saturday or Sunday. The Flyers, if they win either tomorrow night, Wednesday night, or Friday, they would force a game 6 back here in Philly on Sunday. We also had the Valero Texas Open. Forgot to mention that. You and I have had a nice little run in fantasy. I got a nice little top 10 finish still up there in the Sports Geek. But yeah, I mean, if you are interested in ever playing against us, we do also have our own league outside of Sports Geek, since that is closed up. Unfortunately, no baseball this year, but I'm sure Brandon will come back with football. That's always a ton of fun. But our league, nothing season long or anything like that. Daily competitions every day. So we try to, not too break in the bank, usually $1 here, $1 there, but still good time, still fun to just, try to show how much more you know than us. Probably a lot more, at least me. Matty D's, he is a genius.
Yes. Look, I'm nervous. I really want game 3 to go well.
Yeah, I do too.
It needs to go well. Okay. It has to go well.
Well, here's a couple things that I thought of. Well, yeah. I mean, Emily and I are going to go after game 3, so I don't
want you to. Okay, you can say. Go ahead. Okay, I don't want you to
go after game 3, so I can say this now. We're not going to have a good. Dwayne Wade had however many points he had last night. 27 points. That's not happening again. That's not happening again. He's not having. It might happen one other time in the series, but it's not happening. It's not happening again. I don't even think it happens another time in this series. I was trying to be respectful of the guy. He's done so well. He's like a top 10 all-time playoffs point scorer. But it's going to catch up to him, especially if Embiid plays. Hassan Whiteside can't. He'll be better because he won't get in foul trouble as early. Kelly Olynyk is a fucking piece of shit. I talked to Logan about that for a little bit last night. God damn it, I hate that guy. But I mean, the Sixers can't possibly shoot as bad as they did, especially down the stretch. They even find some of the. We talked about some of the shots are just jacking up. A lot of those they normally hit. They have to be better in selection, but they are usually a little more accurate. But I think if you figure out how to mix in Ersan to the degree that he was pumping out in game 1 down the stretch of the season. If Dario's playing well, in these more in a 4, in even a 5, they had him doing that a couple times on Tuesday or on Monday night.
If Whiteside comes off the floor, you can do that.
Yeah, that's true. If he's off the floor, you can do that. It's a very good point. But I think, I'm not too worried. I think this series is still the Sixers to look at. But game 3, definitely you have to come out strong, and I think you need a halftime lead. I know it sounds really, really stupid, but pretty obvious rather. But you need something to kind of throw in Miami's face. They've had at least 6-point leads in both games, and you need to end the half strong. They've had 2 terrible second quarters.
Yeah, I feel that. I would agree there. Like I said, I think that this is just they need to make some adjustments to get the offense a little more a little more moving, a little less standing around. You don't have the playmakers other than Simmons and maybe Fultz, who I thought they gave up on a little too early. You don't really have a ton of other playmakers, so we need to get some guys doing that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point on Fultz. The guy that I was sitting next to was a little bummed that they brought in TJ when they were trying to shut down the Heat when they were getting close and they weren't bringing back in Fultz. I liked it because I think TJ is a better defensive player. He wasn't shooting particularly well last night, but I think if you can mix in Fultz a little more, because I don't think he even came in until the second quarter.
Yeah.
I think if you can get him going and get his confidence up, because that's really been, it seems, the name of his game this year. But we'll see how it goes.
No, big game, and I'm excited to see how you guys break it down on Thursday.
Hell yeah. Well, stay tuned for that. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias. Thunder BLG on Twitter, Thunderblog Sports on Instagram and Facebook, thunderblogsports.com, where you can find all of our awesome blogs. Matt, I want to thank you so much. It was a ton of fun. And I think that's going to do it for us. For my man, Matty D, Matt Stefano, I am the G-Man, Jordy Cannell. This has been the Bullpen Card. Thanks for listening. And have a great night, everybody. Peace.